let's take a look at our problem of the day. It says place the three fractions in order from least to the greatest. We've got 2/3, we have 5/8, and we have 11/16. Now notice they're all less than 1. Again, we're going to place these three fractions in order from least to greatest: 2/3, 5/8, and 11/16. All right, so let's take a look at this thing, see how we're going to work with it. You look at those, and in your mind you're thinking, I know what 2/3 looks like. 5/8, I sort of think I can get there. The 11/16, wow. I'm kind of going like, where do we go? How do we work with that? So let's look at these things. Let's look at these three fractions and see if we can find some shortcut method to get to, well, I think what we need is the least common denominator, because these are pretty close together. 2/3 versus 5/8. Some of you say, I think I know how that was ranked. But this 11/16 is kind of a little one that I'm not used to, all right? However, I do know if I put 12/16 in there, I'm at 3/4. So I know I'm less than 3/4 here. And 3/4, well, you know, so there's somewhere in that. Let's just take a look and see how we're going to do these. First of all, let's see if we can eliminate what's going on between 5/8 and 11/16. So I'm going to bring those down here. We're going to focus on those. And as I said, if we could get the same denominator, this problem becomes so easy. And if you'll notice, you've got 5/8 and you've got 11/16 here. What's the least common denominator? Well, 8 will divide into 16, which is really kind of nice because we just basically lowered the barrier right here, or lowered the worry of how high up we're going to go. We're certainly going to be less than 50, it looks like, for a least common denominator, LCD as we like to call it. So, but let's see what happens when we multiply this side by 2. And if we multiply the denominator by 2, you got to multiply the numerator by 2. There we have it. Because that's 2/2 equals 1. So you're not changing the value, you're just changing into 16ths. You basically split the eighths into 2s, and let's see how many we've got. Well, it looks like we got 10/16. So already that has told me an important fact here, that this little guy, 11/16, is just a little bit larger than 10/16. Now what about 2/3? How are we going to bring it to the ball game? Well, we need to get a 16 in on it also. Oh, we can't do that, can we? Because 3 doesn't divide into 16 evenly. Nay, nay, nay. So what we're going to do, we're going to look for a number that both of these will go into. So I start thinking about, well, let's see, maybe 16 times 2. Let's go for the big number to multiply by 2. That's 32. And 3's not going to make it there. How about bumping up one more time? Oh, 16 times 3. In this case, these two numbers, if we will just take those two numbers together, we're going to get the number, what, 48? And that tells me something. So what does it tell you, Ernie? It tells me that with 2/3, we're going to take 2/3, and let me pull it down here. We got 2/3, and we're going to multiply that thing by 16, and we're going to multiply that numerator by 16, because we're looking for 48, and this looks like it's going to be 32/48. Already we're starting to get something, and if we'll drop my lower third down there, we'll see even a little bit more, all right? Let's see, let's put a 32 down here. That means we're going to double those. Is that right? We want to double? No. Well, we don't want to put 32 down there, do we? We want to put 48. We were talking about doubling a minute ago, but we want to put 48 right there. We want these to match, right? So let's just rewrite that 48 here. We'll forget I made all that smudgy-dudgy. And let's see what happens here. That's going to be 30. And it looks like this little guy over here is going to have a 48 also. We need to multiply that by 3. So that's how we get to 48. And 3 times 11 is going to be 33. Now we have some semblance of order. They are all based on 48 there. Okay, all based on 48. And it looks like this little guy is our least. All right, let's go back and remember what fraction did that come from? All the way back up the notch here to 5/8. So 5/8 is going to start us off. We're going to move from there to, it looks like 2/3. And then last but not least, our last one actually is 11/16, it looks like, which is going to be what we got the 33 out of. Now, real quickly on the calculator, let's take a quick look at this, all right? Let's see what's going on. I'm going to take, and I'm going to get rid of these lists. First of all, let me graph out. Now let me clear. Now we'll clear again. And now we can actually do some arithmetic here. Let's just check these things. You can check between 2 divided by 3 And what do we have? We have a lot of repeating sixes, and that is what 2/3 comes out to be, is basically 0.6666. You put a bar over it and make it repeat. The next thing we have is 5/8. We're going to check and see if these numbers coincide as decimals. Remember, 5 divided by 8, that's what fractions are all about. We get 0.625. That comes out nice. Terminates. It would be 625 thousandths. And last but not least, let's check that crazy 11 divided by 16. Now, if you got a calculator on ACT or an SAT, this is where you would probably go and use it. Otherwise, you could pick up some benchmarks. So there we go, looky-looky. There we have it. This one is the smallest. That was 5/8, which is where we started. Then we got 2/3, and now we have 11/16. Life, my friends, is good in that regard, okay? And that basically solves our problem of the day. So come back and look at it again. We've got 5/8, 2/3, and 11/16. I hope you guys check that out. Right there they are, back in line. And hope you check that out on Facebook and you got it right. And understand,